Let's see. Okay, we are live. So welcome to Tamarah's Closet today. I'm actually very excited today because I have a very beautiful, young, and talented woman with me today. She's with me from New York today. She was actually born in Japan, but later moved to Switzerland, and I'll have her talk about that a little. She's accomplished so much just to be so young, and I feel like I'm an underachiever here, but she started at the early age of 5, and she not only speaks 7 languages. She's extremely talented young woman, and in so many ways, and she's a magnificent pianist, and she's been playing since she was 5 years old, and I believe her first on-stage performance was actually dancing at the Municipal Theater of Kobe, Japan. And so for the last couple weeks, I've really been enjoying her music on YouTube as well as through her website, and I've been posting a lot of her videos, and this woman is clearly an accomplished pianist, to say the very least, and her bio has really tested my Southern accent, so you'll have to bear with me today as I get through this. Salome was only 11 when she won 3rd place in the prestigious, here we go, Concorsi Internazionali di Musica, Città di Stresa in Italy. I hope I said that right. Where she stood out for her virtuoso mastery and soulful devotion. Her first CD recording, Anthology, was released in 2004. And she's had several recordings. Further recordings were broadcast by the Swiss radio, DRS2, Bayern Classique 4, and Radio Classica. In 2006, she released 3 CDs, one with the works of Grieg, and 2 live recordings in the Tonhaus Zurich of the Mozart Piano Concerto KV 415 with the Zurich Chamber Orchestra under Howard Griffiths. Latest recording, Salome's Envisage, was released in November 2013, and it is just amazing. I can't wait for her to talk about that. And it's available on iTunes and Amazon. So she actually just came off a tour earlier this year with violinist Taylor Davis. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her out before I butcher any more words here. So it's my extreme pleasure and honor to welcome Salome Scheidegger. Say hello, Salome, so I know you're
Hi, everyone. Hi, Tamarah. Thank you so much for having me on the show. You did great. You did great with the names. I'm sorry to be providing you with so many foreign names.
Well, I actually was going online on YouTube, finding videos how to pronounce certain things, and I was like, oh, forget it. I'll just work myself through it.
It's all right. No problem.
But anyway, Salome, you started really young in the arts, and I was reading, it sounded like you actually sort of started with dancing.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about that? Because you did 2 different types. You did classical ballet and then the Nihon Bayo?
Nihon Buyo.
Buyo.
That's the classical, the traditional Japanese dance, women's dance. And I started with that, I think, when I was 2 or something. And I started with that because in Japan, my parents were always very adamant about getting to know the culture in Japan and not just being expats and just hanging out with just Swiss people or foreigners, but they really wanted to get to know the Japanese culture and Japanese people and the way of living. So actually my siblings and I went to a Japanese school, a Japanese preschool, and there we met our really good friends, or still our friends. We visited them actually last week in Japan. And their daughter and the mother did the Nihon Buyo, the classical Japanese dance. And then my parents thought, well, that would be something for Salome. And of course, I loved it. I loved it so much. And it's such a special way of starting relationship with music and with arts. It's very precious to me. And I did have one performance with a big kimono and a wig and makeup that made me look like a Japanese girl. Actually, it was very much fun. That was at the Kobe Municipal Theater back then when I was 4, I think, or 5.
Wow. Now, do you ever do that anymore? I mean, was that just something you did as a child, or?
Well, it's really hard to do that outside of Japan because it's such a traditional thing. And I was very privileged to be studying with one of the great masters of that art in Japan. So when we moved back to Switzerland, I was 5, and there was really no way to pursue that. So I actually took up classical ballet together with my sister when we were back in Switzerland. So that's how that story began.
Wow. Well, you're amazingly talented for sure. I know. But you started, I read when you were 5, you were 5 when you discovered your passion for the piano. Where did you think that came from?
Well, my parents just wanted my siblings and I to learn a classical instrument, just to learn it because they wanted to educate us culturally as well. And they thought it was really, really important to add music to that, our Western classical music. So they wanted us to learn one, and I picked the piano. And I honestly do not remember how that started, but I know that I just really wanted to learn the piano, and I started, and then it became something that I really enjoyed doing, despite practicing. But I was lucky to have very supportive parents who made sure that I practiced regularly. And that makes all the difference because, you really need to be doing that to get to a certain level and to discover whether your talent and to be enjoying it as well. It takes practice. So I was lucky to have that, and with time I just really enjoyed it so much. I loved playing the piano, and my teachers also, my teacher back then, she thought I was really talented, and then she sent me to she started organizing concerts, and she sent me to my first piano competition, and so it started.
So you loved it from the beginning, because I know back when I was really young, my parents had me take piano, and then I didn't grasp it like they wanted me to, but then I took flute in I guess that would have been high school, and I do love the flute. But I think a lot of parents, like you said, want you to be exposed to that. But it sounds like you really had a passion for it from the get-go.
I did. I didn't necessarily always love practicing, of course, but I do love music. I always did, and I couldn't live without it. I always wanted to do it. My siblings all learned the violin, actually, and my brothers, they did not like it that much, especially my older brother. And then he stopped playing really quickly. So, and my parents let them. So it's not like my parents were forcing us to do anything. It was really I just loved it.
Yeah. Were your parents musically inclined? Did they play any instruments or in the arts? Or?
My mom is very artistic. She's an art history major. She has a PhD in Japanese calligraphy. But she was never a musician. She played the guitar when she was younger, but never anything seriously. And my dad actually is not musical at all, although he loves to listen to music. So no, it just came as it came by.
Yeah. Well, you probably don't remember your first fascination with music, or do you? Because you would have been so young since you started so young.
Well, I do remember. I mean, the classical Japanese dance was very impressive for me, and it was very impressive to me in a way. To, moving your body to a certain kind of music was something so special to me, and I enjoyed it. And the Japanese traditional music that goes with the dance is something that my master actually did it herself. Sometimes she would take the shamisen, the Japanese instrument, and would sing also those traditional tunes. And it was so impressive for me because it's so emotional in a way, but very disciplined in another way. So it was a very interesting kind of contradictory thing, and it was very, very impressive. My first encounter with classical music was definitely at home because my parents listened to a lot of classical music. But I remember the first classical concert I remember going to was a piano recital by Swiatosław Richter, the great pianist, great Russian pianist. And I was very impressed by what he was doing. Although I think I was a little bit too young because, I was, I think, 5. And
can you say
concert?
Can you say his name again? Because it got garbly.
Swiatosław Richter.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the great pianists, and
yeah,
very, 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 very impressive. I listen to a lot of his music.
Well, I saw an interview on YouTube where it was like a critical hit spotlight, the video, and you had stated that you actually started to become a professional pianist at 13. I mean, how did that happen?
Well, it's more, I didn't become a professional musician at 13. It's more, I decided to go that road.
Yeah.
At 13, I was in high school in the first couple of years of high school. And it came about that I had to decide which school I would go to next, because after the 2 first years of high school in Switzerland, you have to decide which path to take, whether, literature focused or math focused, science. And I wanted to be a musician. It was very clear for me, and so I had to decide whether I wanted to go to a music focused school, and that's what I ended up doing. So it was clear from then on that I would become a professional musician.
Right. And your parents, I know they were supportive, but what do they think about this, like, today when they...
Oh, they're very, very supportive still. They're the most supportive people in my environment, actually. I'm very lucky to have them. My entire family, actually. They, I'm sure there were times where they thought I'm crazy. I left school at 16, actually, and we had long discussions before that happened. Very long discussions, and but they, in the end, they knew how stubborn I am, and if I have my mind set on something, I want to do it, and I will set everything in motion to do it. So they kind of trusted my instinct there and let me do it.
All right. Does your family see you perform today when they can, or because I know you travel a lot?
They try to come to concerts of mine whenever they can. They try to, they watch all my videos that I post and all the recordings. They're great. They came to the concert on the tour with Taylor Davis 2 months ago in Zurich, because we had a stop in my hometown, Zurich, in Switzerland, and my entire family came.
Oh, God, that's awesome. That really is. Well, you studied with Jerome Rose. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Because I know I read he's been hailed the last romantic of our age. So.
Yes. He's great. He's actually one. He was probably one of the most important figures in my musical career. He's very tough as a teacher, Yes, he is, but a very good teacher in my opinion, and I learned a lot from him. And sometimes, you know, you need that toughness. But he was very important to me because he was something like a mentor to me when I made the decision to move to New York. Actually, I wasn't very happy with my situation when I was living in Paris for 1 year. I was studying there, and I was I was not very happy with how things were going. I didn't really know what my path was at that time, and so I happened to come across masterclass with him, and I played for him, and he really helped me think about what steps to take next. And he actually gave me a scholarship to his keyboard festival, his piano festival in New York in the summer. It's called IKIF, and he gave me a scholarship to that, and I loved it. It was such a door opener for me because it is 2 weeks of playing, taking lessons with different teachers from all over the world sometimes, and with about 100 or sometimes 200 other students. So you have a lesson with sometimes the same pieces with you play for different teachers every 2 days. And it's something that kind of just derails you entirely, but also makes you think about your own voice, and makes you make up your mind, because that's what you have to do. You know, as a young student, you're always so kind of forced, or not forced, but you always learn to listen to what your teacher has to say, and you sometimes forget to think for yourself because you know you have to do certain things like they are in the music, or how it's, you know, supposed to be, but then you forget what your own voice is. And things like IKIF actually help you to make up your own mind about something, and that's what it did for me the first year. And then I went there I think for three more times in the consecutive years. But anyways, that kind of sparked my love for New York. And, I made a lot of friends there, and so I made up my mind I wanted to go to New York to study with Jerome Rose. And then Jerome Rose had a big talk with me and said, listen, you're not quite good enough to study with me yet. So he gave me the name of a certain Benjamin Kaplan in London and said, listen, if you go and study with him for a few months, then I'll listen to you again, and then maybe you'll be able to come study with me. And so that was probably one of the best decisions I've made in my professional studying career. And I went to London, ended up staying there for 1.5 years, and I had to brush up my entire technique. I had to play scales and arpeggios for about 3 months every day for 8 or 9 hours a day. And then, but afterwards, I felt great. I played for him again, for Jerome Rose again, about 1.5 years afterwards. And I remember it was one of the most wonderful moments in my career, because I felt like a real pianist then. And I remember I played Chopin for him, and he said, okay, well, now you're ready. You can come to New York.
Wow.
So that's what happened.
That's amazing. Do you still stay in touch with Jerome at all, or? Occasionally,
yeah. I go to some of his concerts, especially I try to visit every IKIF. He always plays the opening concert for IKIF every summer, and I try to go there every time.
Yeah. Oh God, that's amazing. Well, I'm glad you stuck with that. That was a huge accomplishment. But you also did, you did some master classes. You've done a lot of master classes. There was someone else you were with. I can't remember the name now.
Yeah, I've done a lot of master classes. That's usually what you do as a classical musician. You, apart from your steady teacher, you, especially in the summer months where there's no school, there are all these summer festivals and summer master classes and courses for students, and that's where you usually get your input from a different side, a different view from your own teacher. It's very important, and I'm glad that I was able to take a lot of those in my younger years.
Right. Now, Benjamin Kaplan, he passed away.
Yes, unfortunately. He passed away about 4 years ago.
Yeah, I thought it was not too long ago. Yeah.
Short. It was actually about a year after I moved away from London. So that was, it was very sad for me. He was, I was very close to him, and he was, as I said, one of the biggest influences in my pianistic life. Definitely.
Yeah. Wow. Has all this? Do you have any passion for teaching, or do you already teach some? Or?
I have taught before. I was actually I had a steady class in when I was living in Paris, and of young kids. And I sometimes sub for my friends. I do not have my own students at this time because I'm traveling a lot. I've been thinking about it a lot because it's a great way to have, as a freelance musician, it's a great way to have some a more steady job. But honestly, I get asked that a lot, and I don't feel like I'm a good teacher, honestly. I feel like I have to discover a lot about music for myself first, and I think I learned that with Benjamin Kaplan. He was a full-time teacher. You know, there are a lot of pianists who are performers themselves, and then they have some kind of teaching position that they also fulfill. But Benjamin Kaplan was just a teacher, and you could feel that. He had been a teacher for so many years, and he had analyzed every single aspect of teaching. And he had his own system. He had an incredible sensitivity to for grasping a student's psyche, and for just seeing everything that needed to be done, and he could tell how it needed to be done with that specific student. And I think that is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of mental space to do that, and definitely a lot of passion too. And it is a big responsibility to teach, especially children.
Yeah.
And, I don't quite feel ready for that. I'm not saying that I will never be having a steady teaching position, but right now I don't think it's the right time for me.
Right. Well, it's its own skill. I mean, everybody's not a great teacher, and everybody doesn't. It does take a certain type of passion to want to teach, and you know, and it's some people are very gifted at it, and some people it's not their forte. So I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing that you're not ready to do it, and you may never be ready. It may just not be your thing.
Exactly. I think it takes a certain personality too to be a good teacher, and I might be a little too chaotic, honestly.
That's okay. Well, I want you to talk about because this amazing envisage, if I'm saying that right, envisage. Yeah, because that is just so amazing. I want you, because that was in 2012, I think. Tell me how you came up with that idea, and tell the viewers what it is, what this project was that you created, and because I just think it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So Envisage, what it is it's a classical piano recital of about an hour, and enhanced with video projections on screens behind me and the piano. and lights and projections into the hall. So those video projections and the lights are supposed to enhance the emotions in the music, to kind of take the viewers, the audience, into a different world, into a different, how do you say, just on a next level from just purely listening to a recital. And the idea came about, I think it was it must have been around 6 or 7 years ago, that I love classical music. I grew up with it. I grew up playing it, and it's my passion, definitely. But at a certain point, I just felt like everybody's kind of doing the same thing in the classical scene. You know, you have these beautiful concerts, this beautiful music that is played by oftentimes really wonderful musicians and performers. But it's kind of, it always looks the same. And we all know that, you know, audience for the traditional classical concert scene is kind of dwindling. And we need to find new ways of presenting classical music, which now is done in so many different ways. I'm really, really happy to see it. But at that time, I didn't see it a lot. And I was kind of I was a little bit sick of just going on stage and playing a normal old classical recital. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be great to add some visuals to it, some exciting visuals that take the audience on a ride, or on a walk through different locations, and put them in another world. So I started sketching some things. I started choosing some pieces that would kind of fit well into a setting like this, that would work well with an idea like this. And then I went scouting for people who would want to work with me. At the same time, the idea of moving to New York came up with me. And I was kind of targeting people in New York as well. I asked around, and one of my good friends actually in Switzerland gave me a hint to visit this production manager, Steven Ehrenberg, in New York, who he almost worked with. And he is a production manager. He was a production manager in a lot of Broadway shows and theater. And so I went to talk to him on one of my visits to New York, and presented the idea to him. And then he was very, very interested. And he said, okay, let's put together a team of visual artists, a video artist and a lighting designer. And so that's how that came about. And then I moved to New York, started studying with Jerome Rose, and at the same time I started working on Visage. And 2 years later, we had the premiere in New York, and then a year later, we went on a mini Switzerland tour with it. And I got a lot of really good feedback from the audience. So I think that my goal was kind of achieved, of taking the audience into a kind of own world, into a different world with that concert. So I'm really happy about that.
I just think it's beautiful. It's like a visual journey through the music, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a brilliant idea, and I think that the recitals needed, like you said, needed something, a new level, I guess you would say. Change is good. I mean, it's just a different element. It's just one added element. I think if it's done right, it can do a lot of good for the other element, in this case, music. I mean, you see it with movies. Movies without music would not be the same thing, right? So music with added visuals, is kind of the same thing. They complete, in a way, they complete each other. Right. Now, when you tour, are these two separate tours? Like, do you have the ones where you don't do that, and then Salome's Ambassage is a whole separate tour?
Yes, that was, yeah, Salome's Ambassage was a whole separate tour. I'm actually working on a new program with that of that style, targeted for next year. So I'll keep you posted on that. And the rest of the tours, actually, I have only been really touring since Taylor Davis asked me to go on tour with her. That was last year. So so that was my first real tour, and I was so happy because it was a lot of fun. It was a month through the US with her, and definitely a great experience.
Yeah, I could tell you were excited about that. You looked happy in the videos I saw of you with her. So I know that was a great experience. I want to ask you, what great musicians do you admire the most, and why? And they don't have to be pianists unless they are. I mean, just.
I mean, I definitely have some admiration for a lot of pianists because you know, I grew up. As a teenager, I was a total classical nerd. I only listened to classical music, and I knew most of the recordings that came out during those years. So definitely one of my favorite pianists is Tamarah Hussey. She is she was a Romanian pianist who only gained recognition actually in her late years, from I think 50 something years on, until she died. She was definitely one of my always one of my personal stars, because she just has a golden touch for me. She has her touch on the piano is just it's like a whole it just fills the room. It has such a special, beautiful, velvety sound that I would recognize it anywhere. And she also, it's just the way she played that just triggers, you know, something in me. It's just it's so musical and natural as well. And I can say that actually as a general thing, I admire musicians who are natural and who use their musicality to get something through, rather than, you know, more produced work. And so another one of my favorite musicians is the cellist Jacqueline Dupré. She was a British cellist, and she has the most outrageous musicality in a good way. But
can you say that, Salome? Can you say that again? You were breaking up.
Oh yeah.
Who was your?
Jacqueline Dupré. She was a British cellist who just was so incredibly musical. You can hear her. You can almost hear her feelings through the recordings. It's crazy. It's really wonderful, and that's what makes music for me. I am a very emotional listener, I have to say. When I hear a piece of music, I sometimes want to jump up and down when I like something, and my heart races when I like something. It's so I really value, something real instruments, real passion when people sing. I do have to say, one of my childhood idols was Whitney Houston.
Oh, okay.
I love her. She was one of the greatest for me. And you can hear that passion in her voice too. She has, I mean, obviously one of the greatest voices of all times. But she also got that passion through. I also recently really got into Led Zeppelin.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and you probably guessed it, but it was actually Gretchen Menn who mentioned before, who got me into it, because she plays in Zepparella, and it was her. I went to see one of Zepparella's concerts last year in Brooklyn, and so I went to it, and then I knew Kashmir, but I didn't really know that much about Led Zeppelin. So before I went to the concert, so I wouldn't seem like a total dummy, I went and listened to their songs, and it just hit me. I just love them and their music, and so ever since I've been listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, I know. I hope she comes in my area. I do want to hear her, but she loves classical music too.
She does, yeah, she does.
Yeah. So that, and I grew up with classical music. My father, he had no music. He was not musically inclined at all. Like, he wanted so bad to play the piano, but he never could. And but he's the one that wanted my sister and myself to play. And then he would listen to a lot of classical music. So I was exposed to it. I didn't know really that much about it, but I was exposed to it. And so I always liked it. And I had some CDs that I keep in my car. So I do. My taste in music is so it's just very diverse. I like so many different genres that I just think music's great.
Yeah, same with me, actually. It's really hard to decide which one's my favorite. I mean, I grew up with classical music, obviously, and I've been playing it forever. But as you know, recently I've gotten into video game music and anime music as well. So, and that was a whole new world that I discovered, and I really, really enjoy it a lot. And then there's so much other music. I like world music. I like Arabic music. I like Japanese music and Italian music. It's just, there's so many different good kinds of. As long as music is genuine and good, I really enjoy listening to it.
Right. So since you brought that up, because it is one of my questions, but I wanted you to explain to the viewers, because I really didn't know about it, the video music, video game music, the play, the CD that you have, or is it a DVD?
No. Play is just my latest album. It's an album I released last year, and it's the first one I did with non-classical music, actually.
Okay.
Yes, it's songs from various video game soundtracks and animes.
Okay, because I knew it was from video games. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I knew that. So that is your latest. And who would you say? Do you have a mentor today? Say, or I don't know, someone that you go to when you, for anything.
Yes, I mean, I have to say I talk to my parents a lot. They are definitely my mentors. I have a lot of friends I go to too. I have to say Taylor Davis actually has been something like a mentor to me in the last ever since I met her. She's such a positive person, and she's figured out how to work in the music business, and it's really hard to survive in this business, and especially in the last few years, it's been changing so much. Everything's been changing, and there are no rules and no boundaries anymore, and it has become something that you have a lot of control over yourself, as opposed to maybe 10, 15 years ago, where you had, more agents and managers that did things for you, and labels, even more so. Today, you can kind of do it all by yourself. And she has figured that out. And I didn't know much about that before I met her. And she's kind of pulled me in, and she's always been so helpful, and she wanted to help me with, she's always there when I need to when I have questions about that kind of thing. So she has definitely been something like a mentor to me.
Oh, that's great. That's great that you have her to go to, because it is important, because I think that, so much has changed. And so I think it's important. It's great that you have someone, that and especially your parents too, that you have them to go to. Not a lot of people can say that.
I know. I'm very lucky. No, I have a wonderful family. I really cherish them, and we talk a lot. We're very close, and I am very happy about that.
Great. Well, how do you prepare yourself mentally and emotionally, maybe before a performance? Like, not just with nerves, but just how do you prepare yourself? Because I'm sure there are some nervousness, but how do you prepare yourself?
Yes. It kind of depends what kind of concert it is and what kind of music it is as well, because I've discovered that ever since I've played with Critical Hit, actually. I'm definitely much less nervous when I play with them, just because it's just the nature of the concerts are very different from what I was used to before I started playing video game music. In classical music, you need to be, well, I don't want to generalize, but for myself, I need a lot more focus to play a classical concert, especially a recital, because, you know, you're playing for 1.5 hours, sometimes 2 hours by yourself, and there are so many notes and so much to remember. You know, you play it all by heart, and it is a very intellectual thing, and every little nuance in the music counts, and so you have to have extreme control of your fingers as a pianist, and that takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of concentration, and accordingly, I prepare. So I like to be at concerts or at the venue about 1.5 hours before the concert starts, just to get ready in peace and in quiet, and to maybe have a minute to just sit down and maybe look at my music again, or go through my music in my head again, and just to calm down. I eat bananas before concerts. But so that's what I do to prepare before a classical concert. Before a concert with, let's say, Critical Hit or Taylor Davis, it's a little more easygoing, I would say. I mean, it still definitely takes focus, but it's more, I think it's definitely more focused on the fun of it. And just, go out there and, just give the people a show, entertain them. And so those are two very different approaches. And so before those kind of concerts, I just, hang out with people backstage. We laugh, we talk, and, put makeup on, get dressed, and then just go on stage.
Yeah. Well, how do you handle a mistake during a performance? Because I think for people who are watching who are very new, that would be something that I would want to know. If I were a pianist, how do you handle a mistake?
You broke up for a second. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. How do you handle a mistake during a performance?
Yeah, so just ignore it and go on. The show must go on. It's just you can't think about it. You have to kind of act as if nothing happened, and just go on with what you're doing. That's the best you can do. You can never stop. That's the word.
You just keep moving. I imagine a lot of people don't even notice it, though. I mean, I don't know.
Sometimes it's actually I am astonished, because I've made some mistakes sometimes, and I always feel like it's the worst thing. Oh, everybody must have heard that. That was just bad, and everybody must think I'm so bad. And then in the end, I realized that nobody actually heard it.
Yeah. I would imagine that's true most of the time. But what's a typical day for you when you're not touring? Like, how many hours do you have to devote to practicing, or?
It depends. It really depends, because especially since I've picked up since I'm building up my YouTube channel, I've started shooting a lot of videos. So a lot of time actually goes into that now. My life now looks very different from what it looked like about 2 years ago, because it's much more fast-paced, I would say. I'm learning a lot more music at a time, sometimes just for a day or two, just you know, for a video shoot and quick arranging, which I never used to do. And so I try to pack in at least 4 hours of practice every day. And I wish I really wanted to be more usually. But there's just so much office work that has to be done too, you know, with social media as well. That takes away a lot of time. I love communicating with people who are following me and you know, who like my music and who are talking to me online. I really you know, I enjoy doing that. But it does take away a lot of time from you know, practicing and from thinking about what to do next, or you know, music scouting, or you know, preparations for whatever is coming up. So usually it's just a lot of office work, a lot of time on my computer, a lot of emails,
Yeah.
and then some practicing.
Yeah, well, social media has certainly been a game changer, and I've the different people that I've interviewed, some really like it and really utilize it. Some have they just have, I don't know, they have good and bad things about it that they like and dislike. But it sounds like for you, it's been a positive thing.
It has and it hasn't. I had to learn to use it because I remember I used to not be into it at all. I'm a very private person, and I do not like to post that much privately. But I had to learn to, you know, to do that, because I realized it's also it's nice to put out music. I love doing that, and in order to, you know, feed the people who are following you, you have to give them something constantly. And as I said, I really love communicating with my fans and with people who listen to my music. It's a great thing to do. It's very satisfying, and but it is, you know, it is kind of difficult sometimes when you have to find, you know, a new thing. You know, you have to kind of put yourself out there. It's sometimes difficult for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it is. I know it's you, because we all want to keep a lot of our life private, but you know, so I guess you just have to find that line. But I know you love New York, but you lived in Paris, and I was going to ask you what was your favorite place to live? What was it like living in Paris? Because I know you love New York.
Paris was an interesting time for me. I had a little bit of bad luck with my teacher there, honestly. I didn't, and with the school, I didn't really enjoy going to school there. I made a bunch of really good friends that kind of saved me through that time. And I love the city, but I never really kind of get anchored there in a strange way, because going into my time in Paris, I thought that was it, because I was always so in love with Paris, and I thought that is my city, which proved to be wrong. But I still love it. I love going back there. Then came London. London was also an interesting time. I loved London. I loved the city. I loved the people. But it was a very intense time for me, because I had piano lessons for about twice a week for about 3 hours at a time, and I had no time to waste. I practiced 8 or 9 hours a day without fail every day, and so I didn't really have time to do anything there. But I just went back on the Taylor Davis tour, actually, and had a couple of free days there, and kind of rediscovered for myself how much I love it. So London is definitely one of my favorite places to live in, and New York is my, New York is my love, I think, because it just, it's striking how many different kinds of people live here on a relatively small space, and how culturally diverse it is, and how everything is kind of going, around the clock. It's just, there's always something to do. It gives me kind of a comfort a sense of comfort for me, and a lot of international people. I think that saves me from being lonely or being feeling out of place, because that's the thing. If you're traveling a lot, if you don't I moved a lot when I was growing up, so I don't know. I never really understood where my home was, and I say it's Switzerland because I spent most of my years there, but I never felt that much at home in Zurich. So when I came to New York, it just kind of gave me the feeling that this is the place I was supposed to be in. It's just there are so many different people, and it kind of it's never boring here. There's always a new challenge. There's always a new area you can go to that you haven't discovered yet. And that's, to me personally, that's a very important thing. That's what I like.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of consider New York home then. When
I would say so right now, yes.
Yeah, right now. Well, is that how you learned 7 different languages? I mean, obviously you didn't sit down at Rosetta Stone and.
Well, actually.
Or did you?
Actually, no. Well, I'm not fluent in 7 different languages. I learned them. I'm fluent in 4 different languages, and that kind of comes naturally with being Swiss citizen. So my mother is actually part Italian. She's 3/4 Italian, and my grandparents were Italians, and they always spoke Italian with us. So Italian kind of was always a language that in our household that was always present. Plus, after moving back to Switzerland from Japan, we lived in the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland for 4 years. That means I went to elementary school there. So that just kind of just came naturally to me. So I'm fluent in Italian. Swiss German is my mother tongue, and High German we have to learn at school because Swiss German is not a language. And then French we have to learn at school as well because it's one of it's the second largest language, how do you say, in Switzerland. It's an official language. Japanese I was fluent in when I was little because I was born in Japan, and as I said earlier, I went to a Japanese school, and we had a lot of Japanese friends. So so that's where I learned that. Then I learned Norwegian by myself, although I never really spoke it, but that was the Rosetta Stone kind of thing I did. And then I learned Russian. Learned Russian for many years. I spoke it a little bit, but it's too hard to just learn on the side.
Yeah. Well, what would you say is the most exciting thing about what you do, and someone that, well, first just answer that, I guess.
The connection just broke up.
What's the most exciting part about what you do? What do you like the most about what you do?
The best thing about what I do, I think, is to learn so much different music. I just, as I said, music is just, I couldn't live without it. It's my passion. I love playing music. And to learn different music and to be able to present it to an audience that enjoys it is the best thing for me. And then traveling, I love traveling. I love meeting new people. I just love being somewhere. I'm a very curious person by nature, and so I enjoy going to new places, meeting new people.
Yeah. Well, is there somewhere you haven't performed or someone you haven't, do you have a dream performance or someone you'd like to perform with, or both, that, that's in the back of your mind all the time?
Well, I definitely would love to do more of envisage.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I would like to do, I think my dream is to go on with what I'm doing, with, pairing music, something that I'm very fond of, and, it's kind of, I want it to be my mission, kind of. And but also I would like to try out new kinds of music. As in terms of a place, I'm not really sure. I've never been to Australia. I've never performed there, so I definitely would love to go there at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do. I hope you do more of the ambassage. And I would love to see that. I really would. That's gonna be on my to-do list, because I just think that's so beautiful. So if there's any of the viewers that have not seen it, make sure you check out. I know it's on your website and it's on YouTube. You can see some of it. So it's just beautiful. It really is. So
thank you very much.
I hope you just keep expanding on that. I had just a couple more questions, and I know we'll have to go, but there was something. Oh, what's your next performance coming up? Because I don't think I mentioned that.
No, actually, my next few months are kind of filled up with focusing on my videos. And I am doing, I have a couple of collaborations coming up with recording as well. So I'm very focused on that. I'm focused on a new album, actually. I'm working on a new album that will feature piano covers of soundtracks to Ghibli movies, those Japanese anime movies. So that will take up a lot of time. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do for the next few months. So performances, any upcoming performances I will have listed on my webpage.
Yeah. And you're going to be on Gretchen Menn's new album too.
I will, yes. Yeah. I'm so happy about that. She asked me to record the piano tracks last year, and I went into the studio with her actually in Italy in December. And it was a lot of fun. It's going to be a great album. I cannot wait to hear the finished product. I think it's supposed to come out this year. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. Well, what is your future like? Are you so career focused right now that you don't think about like settling down and having a family, or is that just on the back burner?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm a very family-oriented person because I grew up with, as I mentioned earlier, with my family. I grew up in a big family. I have 3 siblings, and we're very close. So I would like to have a family at some point, but at the right time. I think there's a lot I want to do with my career before thinking about that. So it's on the back burner, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I understand. I never did do it, so I understand. So, is there any advice before we end this that you would give to anyone starting out, as a musician? That, is there any kind of good advice that you would give them, or?
Yes, practice. Don't stop practicing. That is the 101 in becoming a musician. That's very, very important. But also keep your own voice. Don't have influences from outside. It's very important. Listen to lots of different music. Read up and be curious and go get influences left and right. That's very important. But at the same time, create your own voice and stick to it, listen to it. And I think those are the 2 most important things, I think, that I have to say.
Yeah, well, I think that's good advice. I do. I really do. And I hate to end this today because you've been great.
Thank you.
And you're such a breath of fresh air with when you came on video this morning, you were so pretty with that. Your hair is so pretty and pink, and I'm such a pink person. I love pink. And it was just, and I noticed in one of your videos, or it was one of your pictures, you had pink on, but you had some red too, and I love pink and red together, so I was like, oh, we're going to get along great. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they go together really well as well.
Yeah, I just love them together. So is there anything else, Salome, that we didn't cover that you want to mention or talk about? Because
I guess just if you're interested, any viewers are interested, check out my YouTube channel. I'm doing a lot of videos nowadays, and also check out my latest album play. It's there are piano arrangements of video game music and anime music, and yeah, I think that's it.
Good. Well, I've got you can, I hope this shows up.
Oh, nice.
So
Very
you can,
nice.
her website is Salome, just SALOME piano.com. And that's actually how you find her on all the social media sites. Is, isn't it just Salome Piano?
Salome Piano, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, the URL is Salome Piano as well. Just YouTube is my entire name, Salome Scheidegger.
Yeah, okay. And so also, and I'll have this link in the YouTube, like under the video, as well as she'll be in my blog, tamarahscloset.com. So I'll have all those links too. And so I'll have every link that I can have of her. So I just want to thank you again, Salome, for being here. And it was just you're such a pleasure, a breath of fresh air.
Thank you so much, Tamarah, for having me here.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Nice. And you did great. You were just great.
I was so nervous before because I've never done a live interview before, so I was kind of freaking out before.
Well, see, now you got this behind you, and it's all easy after this. So it's just good for both of us. You were my first pianist, so I'm excited. I've interviewed so many musicians, but not a pianist yet, so it was fun for me. So, yeah, I want to thank the viewers for their continued support. Make sure you join me next week because I'm going to interview another young and beautiful, talented musician. She's a violinist, Michelle Jade, and I believe you two know each other. So.
Yes, that's right. We worked together on Critical Hit. We played together. She's great. She's a really, really great musician, violinist. And a wonderful person as well.
Oh, that's great. So it's funny how all my worlds are just coming together. Everybody sort of ends up knowing each other. So that
well, the music world is kind of small.
Yeah, so it's fun. But I want to thank you again, and thank you to the viewers and to your own success. Just keep on moving forward and rocking it. And see you next week.
Thank you very much.